am I working out in the research methodology for chapter 3 and also the requirement I want to see for your chapter 3 as well. So basically for chapter 3, what I'm expect to see is going to be about, I will just remind you, yeah, it's going to be about introduction to research method, methodological underpinning, research strategy, sampling technique, design, data collection technique, sample size, data analysis, research criteria, ethical considerations, summary of chapter. That will be what I'm expecting to see in your chapter 3. And at the moment, what I'm seeing most in the paper you are writing for your chapter 3 is that, first of all, regarding to your introduction to research method, I'm not seeing you guys doing much in this part, even though I was putting it as a small subheading. What am I seeing here? Why you guys have the same problem with this one? I'm still receiving late link. Like last night. Can't believe it. So basically, regarding to, you guys take a note, please, because most of your paper at the moment are missing these things, which I expect you should have it, but you most don't have it. For on here, I can't find your file. Okay. Can you just open your file with the link you sent me as open link? So basically, because you just sent to me, so it should be fine. For some people, I'm seeing you putting research onion, and that's a nice thing to put there. Okay, so for some of you, you are doing well with it, but for some, you are doing wrong with your methodology. So please take note. I'm going to mention about things you should put in your chapter 3 right now. Even though I already gave you the structure, but it seems like the content in each part you are still missing a lot. So for example, for your 3.1 introduction to research method, some of you are using research onion, and that's a good thing. You can put the framework or image or the notion of research onion there in 3.1. For 3.2, basically methodological underpinning, we just have two things. It's going to be research ontology and research epistemology. Basically, we just have two things, but I can't find those two things in your work at all. Okay, so when we talk about this, methodological underpinnings. What you have to say that, okay, so basically we're going to have two primary research philosophies, which are research ontologies and research epistemology. So then we have to critically discuss them. So how can we critically discuss them at the moment, at this level? You already know. For example, what is ontology and what is epistemology? Benefit of ontology, whereas benefit of epistemology, and then disadvantage of them. So that's how you are going to mention them in your 3.2. Okay. Again, for 3.3, we have research strategy. I already give you interpretivism or positivism. Again, you have to discuss them critically. What would be critically? So what is interpretivism? Benefit, disbenefit, and what is positivism? Benefits, disadvantages of them. And then 3.3.2, inductive or deductive research. They just basic things. If you look for qualitative research, they should be shown there. And I already gave you the things you need to discuss in your in this part already for the structure. So when you discuss these knowledge, make sure you are critically discuss them. I'm seeing so many like other content that are not relevant to your discussion, but it's still there. So easiest one is 3.3.1 interpretivism or positivism. You are going to critically discuss them, benefit, disadvantages of them, and then you are going to, at the end of each discussion, you are going to choose which one you are going to use for your work. And as you are following qualitative research, so I expect and I am seeing that all of you is going to go for interpretivism. Okay, I don't want to see any other things. You are going to discuss between interpretivism and positivism, but then you are going to choose interpretivism for your research. And then inductive or deductive research, again, critically discuss them and then choose the one you are going to apply for this study. Okay. For 3.4, sampling technique. So again, what is sampling? What is that technique? Okay. And for sampling technique, we are going to have two lines and two main factors, which are probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So you have to talk about them. What are they? Benefits, disadvantages of them, and comparing between them. And within this one, we are going to have a comparison between those two guys, that if you can find down the table or you can compare yourself, that will be a good things. But basically for sampling technique, that will be two main things related to this section, discussion about probability and non-probability. Okay, and then 3.5 for research design. Obviously, you are going to use qualitative research. So what is it? Advantages of that, disadvantages of that. But even though you are using qualitative research, but you also have to mention a little bit about quantitative research to show that the reason why and the relevant why are you using qualitative research. Okay. And then data collection technique, what you're going to use for your research. For example, you are going to have so many a wide range of techniques you're going to use for qualitative research regarding to qualitative technique like interview, focus group discussion, observation, open-ended survey, and reviewing documentary. So basically, there will be load. So what would be the technique you are going to use for your paper? So you have to discuss about them. For example, most of us and basically all of us are going to use interview. Okay, and it should be like online via the MS Team. So interview is going to be the one you are using. So at this part, you're going to mention about techniques we mostly use for qualitative research, and especially for this paper, we're using interview. And then you discuss what is interview techniques, benefits, and disbenefit of that one. And then within that interview, what kind of interview questions you're going to use, semi-structure or unstructured? What kind of interview structure is it? You're going to choose one and you're going to discuss why you're using it. Okay? And then you are going to have virtual interview, which is going to be online MS Team. You're going to talk about advantages and disadvantages of that one and the reason why that would be the relevant method for you to use within this paper. Okay? Basically, for virtual approaches, we are going to have things like interview via video, instant messaging, email, over telephone. But for you, you are going to go for MS Team and online video interviewer via MS Team. That's the requirements from your major, and also it's a good thing because later on you are going to have a transcript for you to easy to note down the answer, and also for me I need to check your interview later as well. Okay, so basically for this section 3.6 data collection techniques, you are going to go for technique using in qualitative research. We have loads, but for you, you're going to use the interview. And with the structure of the interview based on your choice, you're going to have semi-structure, unstructured, or structured interview. It's up to you, but you have to explain benefit and disbenefit of that choice and the reason why you're choosing that. And also, you also have to mention about that you are going to do virtual approach via the MS Team and the advantages, disadvantages of that one and the reason why you are using it for this paper. Make it relevant and explain why was it. Okay, so for 3.7 sample size, you are going to use what would be the sampling technique you are going to use. Back in your section 3.4 sampling technique, when you discuss about different sampling techniques, probability and non-probability, and which one you're going to use. For example, if you use probability, what would be exactly the technique of probability you are using? If you use non-probability, then what would be the exactly technique of non-probability you are using? So you are going to mention here. Okay, and how many of the interview you are going to interview. So some of you may interview from 5 to 10, 6 to 10 or 7 or 8 or something. It's up to you. But you have to explain why that size is acceptable. So I can give you some suggestion, okay? So there will be some research from Creswell 2007 saying that the size between 5 and 25 is okay, a good size for semi-structured interview in qualitative research already. But for Brown and Clark 2013, they are saying that a good sample size should be between 6 and 10 for qualitative research, for in-depth or focus group interview. So if, for example, you say that you are going to choose 5, you're going to choose 6, you are going to choose 7, you are going to choose 10 or something, you need to explain why that range is acceptable. I was just suggested some range that having like reliable backup reference. For example, from 5 to 25, we have Creswell 2007. From 6 to 10, we have Brown and Clark 2013. Okay, so that's why if you are talking about the size of this section, sample size, there will be two things you need to do. First, what kind of sampling technique you are choosing at the end. Mention again from 3.4, you mention here again. If you chose probability, what kind of of the probability technique you are choosing. If you choose non-probability technique, what kind of exactly non-probability technique you are choosing? That's the first thing. Second thing is going to be about the number of the interviews you're doing for your paper. You mention out the number, but if after you mention it out, you have to also explain why that number is acceptable. As I already mentioned, there will be two range with reliable reference backup. The first one, 5 to 20 from Creswell 2007. The second one, 6 to 10 from Brown and Clark 2013. Okay? And then with that in mind, you are going to then mention, okay, so for this interview for this organization, your organization name, this paper is going to do interview for 7, 8, 9, 10 something. It's up to you. Okay? And for your data analysis, you are going to explain how you are going to analyze your data. And for us, we're going to use thematic. Okay? What is thematic analysis? What will be the process of thematic analysis? Benefit of that, disadvantages of that, you're going to mention here. And then 3.9 research criteria. We have reliability, validity, and ethical consideration. For reliability, so how you're going to make sure your paper is reliable. First things is going to be about the fact that you are going to transcribe and record it, your interview, to ensure the reliability. So you can mention here, because obviously you're going to do the interview via MS Team. So you are able to transcribe and then to record the interview. So obviously this can be seen as a way to show your reliability of this paper. About validity, it's about how accurate and how can you measure the quality and the, how should I say, the truthworthiness of your paper. So you can say that for this paper, you are conduct literature review in chapter 2 for literature review, primarily from which site. Usually you are going to use like Google Scholar, or you're going to use USB Library Research Engine find it, or you go for pardon me, famous proceed what was it? Famous journal site or reference proceeding or what else? Sage publication. So for this validity, basically you can make sure your research, your literature review are valid. And how to make sure them valid, you are going to show the viewer that most of the literature review and basically all of the literature review and backup reference, you are looking for them, and you were looking for them via, for example, famous place like Sage Publication, Proceeding, Google Scholar, and also USB Library Research Engine. And how many research article or academic books have you used so far? Like 50, 100, or whatever the number you're going to put here to show the validity of your paper. Okay, and ethical consideration. If I'm not mistaken, you are having USBU proposal and ethics form, right? You were handed the USBU proposal and ethics form, and you also was handed the consent form template and participation information sheet. Am I right? You was handed all of these things already. Yes?
Yes, Ami, we did.
Yeah. So basically, for ethical consideration, also just like validity or reliability, what you have to do, I'm going to say briefly about this 3.9 like this. So research criteria for every single heading, okay, you need to talk about them a little bit, okay. For research criteria, what is it? And usually what would be the main content of research criteria? Validity, reliability, ethical. And then move in 3.9.1, reliability. What is reliability? Why is it important? And then you show how reliable your research via the record and transcript from online meeting MS Teams. For 9.3.2, validity. What is validity? Why is it important in doing research? And for your paper, how can you show the validity of your paper? Basically, most of your literature review, all of your literature review were collected from reliable, from trustworthy platform like Google Scholar, Change Publish, Proceeding, or whatever, like reliable big journal site you were using, and how many, like over 100 book, over 50 journal and articles you were using for your paper. And then to 3.10, ethical consideration. What is ethical consideration in doing research? Why is it important? Talk a bit about them. And then in this study, what did you use to make sure your paper do or did care about ethical consideration? Basically, you can mention about the USBU proposal on ethics form, and then about the consent form template and participation information sheet handed by the university. Basically, these three forms is going to be your things you are going to show that, okay, I did care about ethical consideration. Okay, and then summary of the chapter. That's it for 3.1. Oh, sorry, for chapter 3. Yes.
Hi, Amy. So I have some doubts actually. So for this design, you said we need to do the qualitative and quantitative, and why not, right?
For the for that part, when you mentioned about, okay, you are going to go for qualitative approach, so basically we understand we are using qualitative, okay, but we
Yes.
also want to make it critical discussion, right? To make
Yes.
it critical, to make it critic, so we also need to mention a bit about quantitative.
Yeah.
We
So
all know, yeah.
yeah. So for that, Amy, don't we need to choose like a cross-sectional or the longitudinal design as well?
What do you mean?
Cross-sectional design is like when you take interviews or when you take the data for the in a moment of time, like we are not collecting the data for like past some years and then we are incorporating. That would be like a longitudinal design, but this could be this one is like a cross-sectional design where we are taking the data from the moment, right? So it was there in the research onion, that's why I used it. So is it
Because
appropriate
like
to
I
use?
understand, and the reason why so basically for 3.5 for research design, what you are going to say, just choosing, okay, so you are going to choose qualitative or quantitative, okay, and we are
Okay.
choosing qualitative, that's it.
Okay.
For data collection techniques, so basically for qualitative research, we have different data gathering techniques. For
Yeah.
example, interviews, group discussion, observation,
Yeah.
reviewing documentary.
Yes.
But for us, we are doing interview.
Interviews. Yeah.
Can you see it? Can you see it clear now? So that's why you just need to explain what is interview and why we are using it for this paper.
Okay.
Because the more you try to spread out, the more you have to discuss about them.
Yes.
But
So,
the more you mention about things, the more you have to make them nice. So the less you mention them, you just have to make less things nice. Does it make sense? So
yes.
not no much job for you.
Yes. So one more thing, I have a doubt, Emmy. For the data
Yes.
analysis type, I have put like a thematic analysis already. That what you told. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, can I put there as a comparative analysis as well, or not?
Comparative. For this paper, uh,
Like if I'm going to like compare between two QSRs, right? The service
mhm.
response. So it would be like a comparative analysis. For example, if I'm doing like McDonald's to KFC, so that would be a, like a comparative analysis, right?
Yeah.
So can I
Uh,
should I mention it there as well?
you can mention about it, but as long as you are going to make sure whenever the reader, the viewer, they read your data analysis, they know
Yeah.
for sure you're going to use the interpretation, obviously for qualitative and uh, thematic research. Okay,
Yeah.
in yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, as long as they're going to see it clearly, then it should be fine.
Yeah, and if can I use the comparative analysis if I'm using the same food joint but in two different places? Would it be a comparative analysis then as well?
You just choose one organization to do the interview, right?
Yeah, but I was thinking like if because I have like I have talked to some people and they are like ready to do the interviews. So the two places are I mean those two joints are in two different places. Like
So
for example,
basically,
yeah.
I'm just doing like this. If you just so those organization, where are they at the moment?
One is in Pontypridd, the other one is in Blackwood. So is it okay if I do them as a comparative analysis or not?
Because I'm thinking right now, if you are tech choosing what industry they are in,
QSRs, quick service restaurant, food sector.
quick service restaurant, because at the moment, how many of the interview you're going to interview?
7 to 10, Amy.
7 to 10, divide
Yeah.
from both sides.
Not from the both side. I think because most of them are like if there is a regional manager, the manager is gonna be like looking after like 4 to 5 what you say the outlets, right? So he's only be going to be one, and the owner is the same. So the thing is, I'd be getting like 7 to 10 interviews for sure from both of the places.
That's why, like, if you can balance the number between both place comparative analysis, can you say it? Can you think?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you think it like equal? Because
Oh,
like if you do
okay.
comparative expenditures, so basically the position of the
Yeah.
two side interviewing at least need to be like equal to each other.
Okay. 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 I get it.
So don't make your paper more complicated and it's hard for you. If
Okay.
you want to do comparative advantage analysis, you still can do it. But because we are comparing, right? And from that
Yeah.
comparing, we have teams.
Yeah.
So at least you need to make sure the interview is going to have the same position, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
If you can't, then just go for one.
Yeah, sure. And Emmy, for the sample size, you said that the two papers, right? The Creswell and Braun and Clark.
Yes.
So I read those papers, but those papers are being cited like in the recent paper, Verma et al. 2024. Can I use that paper instead of those two?
Then you have to say, like, for example, Creswell cited as cited in something
Okay, because I
because
have
you are not
chosen the
using
one
the
for
origin. Yeah,
Braun
you
and
are not
Clark.
using
So
the origin paper. So
yeah,
if you can't find the origin paper to cite
yeah,
in your work,
yeah,
and you just can use the cited one. Then, for example, if you say Ron and Clark
yeah,
2013 as
yeah.
cited in something, then you have to
Okay.
do it.
Okay, I'll do that because I have read this paper, but the original
Yes.
paper I didn't because they cited his work there. So I'll do that as well. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Amy. That
No
will.
worries.
Thank you.
And as I said, that's what will be the fixings for chapter 3. And within this week, you are going to try to complete chapter 3 one more time following my instruction, what I was saying. And within this week, you will receive your feedback for each chapter based on what you were sending me for the link, and then you're going to fix it. And you have to think of the questions you are going to use for your research interview. So next week we're still meeting, and obviously at that moment you already have to fix chapter 3, 1, 2 based on my comment latest. You're going to receive like my like comment latest Friday night. So you're going to have time to fix this. And on Wednesday, I'm going to be able to see your research interview question. Okay? How you're going to work on interview questions? Please search online template and example of how people doing that. I don't want you to just showing me question 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not how we do. If you search online about research interview questions, they are going to show you form of how should you do an interview, for example, showing the interviewee what will be the main things, the objective, the aim of this research, and start to ask about their position, their age, their sexuality, and then so many things. So that's how a research interview question template should look like. So again, you will receive, each of you, the comment for your chapter 1 to latest Friday night for you to have time to fix it. And then based on what I was just fixing for you on chapter 3, you have to work on it again. And then on Wednesday, I want to see at least a draft of your research interview. Okay. And if I agree with that, you can start to do your interview. And then next week, perhaps we are going to start to give you time for you to collect interview paper. Okay. So that's it for today for chapter 3. Work on it. For feedback, latest. For feedbacks for in detail for chapter 1, 2, latest Friday you're going to have it. Chapter 3, please work again on that, following my whatever I was just like showing you. And then next week, a draft of your interview questions. Oh, we go so fast. But almost there. Okay, so that's it for today. Enjoy your research. And please remember that for every single thing, whenever you mention about it, you need to have discussion a bit about them. For example, research, philosophy, what is it? For example, so basically, whenever you mention about something, you have to have a little bit discussion about them. For example, data collection technique. What is data collection technique? Before you jump into your main things. That's how we are going to work on them to make our paper look critical. Okay, look critic. Yeah, we are moving fast, quite fast. That's why at the moment I don't want to see anyone leave behind, but I know there are some people are left behind, even though I already said that we shouldn't be left behind, because the moment you are left behind, showing that you are way back behind, and you have to speed up to be together with your friend. Okay, if we have nothing to do,